next fight is a lightweight bout, 155. George Soteropoulos, an Australian fighter, kind of rare, and versus Kurt Batman Pellegrino. Both guys are basically jiu-jitsu black belts. They're going to have a really good time trying to take each other down and submit each other. Sometimes that's boring. Most of the time it is boring. But whoever is more creative with the takedowns and transitioning to, to arm bars and heel hooks and things like that, chokes, Monteleon, all those kind of things, rear naked chokes, that's going to be an exciting fight if they can find the creative, opportunities to make those takedowns happen.
Which they will. Those guys are.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen.
Masterminds on the ground.
But honestly, I don't think Soteropoulos has enough training partners to really master jiu-jitsu at the level that Pellegrino has. So I'm gonna pick Pellegrino just simply because he has a better organization behind him, and he's got better training partners.
Wow. Yeah, this is a tough one. Kurt just took out, the head coach down at Fit where I train at, Fabricio Camoin. So right there alone, I want to say I don't want to pick Kurt. I'm voting against him. No, I mean it was a great fight. A hard loss for Fabricio, but yeah, Kurt looked very impressive, to say the least. I mean, he was in complete control of that fight. So coming into a fight with George Soteropoulos is a very intriguing matchup in that sense, because we just saw Soteropoulos take out Big Daddy Joe Stevenson, and he put a clinic on him on the ground. It was beyond impressive. Big Daddy Joe Stevenson is that's what he's known for, is ground and pound and controlling. More of the ground tactics.
Tight guillotines too.
Right, exactly. And Soteropoulos was just all over him, swarming like a hornet on, some little bug it was trying to take out. It was crazy. It was crazy to watch. Soteropoulos was overly impressive. So for me, I believe this one's going to come down to just to true grit, and who can out mastermind the other. They're both unbelievable tacticians on the ground, and whoever makes the first mistake, I believe, will lose to a submission or a choke. So for me, I'm gonna go with Soteropoulos, and not because Kurt beat Fabricio like I mentioned earlier, but just because I believe Soteropoulos is just gonna come through. I think it's gonna be his night.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, a lot of times, when you have two high-level jiu-jitsu guys, it's a boring fight. But it really comes down to who's able to use the jiu-jitsu. From a pure jiu-jitsu perspective, it's hard to make jiu-jitsu work with someone who knows how to defend every single thing you're trying to do.
Right.
So that's where the MMA comes in. When you punch somebody in the face, the jiu-jitsu doesn't hold up so much anymore.
Right.
So if you can mix, your pure jiu-jitsu with strikes, with sweeps, with kicks, things like that, that's where you can take advantage and use the strong techniques, that you get from a pure jiu-jitsu, whether it's gi or no gi.
Right.
So I think Pellegrino has the edge in this respect, because he's had more fights in the UFC, and he has a really good school in New Jersey where he trains.
Right, and he has, and now come to think of it, he has faced, some of the more serious contenders, and again, battle-tested warriors in that cage. So, like I said, I just believe it's going to be a matter of who makes the first mistake, because they're both so, at such a high level, with their technique, and flowing with their technique from one movement to the next, one escape to the next. And trying to create those those opportunities. So it's just gonna be a matter of who slips up.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the main card. That's the pay-per-view card. So the next two bouts we're gonna talk about are the ones that are gonna show on Spike. They're the two prelims. So the first one is Brandon Schaub versus Chris Tusher. So the only thing I know about Chris Tusher, he's a big dude and he trains with Lesnar. This other dude, Brendan Schaub, he was on the last season of Ultimate Fighter.
Right.
He's a really big dude, but he doesn't know how to use his power. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the fight to Tusher, because I've seen him fight and he's training with Lesnar, so he's should learn something from Lesnar.
Right. Yeah, I don't know too much either about Chris Tusher. I did watch Brendan Schaub on the Ultimate Fighter season, and he definitely has a lot of potential. To continuously make improvement, which he has already, and I feel like when he lost the finale to Big Country. I feel like that was an embarrassing loss for him. He had worked so hard in trying to improve himself, and to get in there in the finale and have it end that way, just being careless with your hands, letting him go and keeping yourself exposed. He got caught. So I think he's probably learned a lot from that in the stand-up game, and has probably worked, a lot more seriously on what it is to throw a strike and keep yourself protected. So I don't look for this fight to really go to the ground and end in any type of submission or choke. I believe it's going to end in the stand-up game, and I believe Schaub's going to maybe come out with some more precision strikes and better defense, and get the victory maybe by knockout or TKO.
Okay, that's a good opinion there. Okay, the last fight we're going to talk about is the Seth Petrozelli versus Ricardo Romero. I don't know anything about Romero. It's the first time I see his name, actually.
Where's he fighting out of? Which country? Is Brasileiro?
Might be. It kind of looks like a Spanish name.
Spanish, right.
But the only thing I know about Seth Petrozelli is that he's the one that KO'd Kimbo when they fought
right.
On the Elite XC.
Right.
So the dude's got some hands.
Yeah.
And if he's able to use them against anybody, it's going to be, short work. So I'm going to go with Petrozelli on this one, even not knowing anything about Ricardo Romero.
Right. Finally, we're going to agree on a fight. The last one. It seems like we've picked every other fighter for our own reasons for what we see, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty of MMA. Is that each fighter has their own set of skills. Ricardo, I don't know anything about as well. I've never seen the guy fight, and this will be the first time. So he could be one of those guys that just comes in and makes a serious statement right off the bat. You never know. But in this case, Seth, I like a fan favorite of Kimbo just because he's a good guy. We learned that
because he's a good fighter.
Right. We learned that on the Ultimate Fighter. That he's got a good heart, and that he's an everyday person. But yeah, he's definitely not the strongest MMA fighter, and so Seth definitely put a clinic on him, in every which way, stand up, dirty boxing. His defense was very good against anything that Kimbo had, as far as him throwing his bombs, and he wasn't afraid to stand in there, because that's what Kimbo's known for, is throwing letting those heavy hands go and knocking people's heads off. So I think Seth is definitely gonna come out on top on this one, with the skill set he already has and that he continues to improve upon.
Okay.